by Black Podcast, Episode 10. How pharmacologist and cosmetologist Jamille Robinson developed Phoenix Deep Rooted, the scientifically formulated solution for all of your natural hair care needs. Welcome to Buy Black, the only podcast dedicated to helping you find, connect with, and support Black-owned businesses. We're on a mission to bring consumers and business owners together to ignite the global Black economy. I'm your host, Gerald Jones, and if you're a Black business owner or a socially conscious consumer, you've joined the right community. Ready? Let's get to work. Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Buy Black. Today we are back with another business interview with Jamille Robinson, talking about her hair care line called Phoenix Deep Rooted. Now, this is an episode that you are not going to want to miss, especially if you're on a natural hair journey and you have a hard time finding good products for your natural hair out in the market. Jamille has created a product line that is like no other, using her background in cosmetology and as a pharmacologist to create a natural hair product solution that is scientifically formulated and tested before it was ever put on the market. I was introduced to Jamille by Mike De Los Santos, which if you guys remember back to episode 6, Mike D's Barbecue, he and I were talking after his show and he connected me with Jamille. And when we got on the phone, within 5 minutes, I was absolutely enthralled in her story. And then I was completely won over when she talked to me about her process for putting together her product line with Phoenix Deep Rooted. So as you listen to this episode, it's going to be clear how Jamille's process has helped her create a product line that is like nothing else out on the market. And I would love to see her popularity skyrocket. So I hope you get as excited and inspired by her story as I did. Now, one quick note, as we were recording this episode, we were having some technical issues. So there may be a few audio quality issues that I couldn't edit out in this episode. Forgive me for that, but trust me, you are going to want to stick around for the entire thing. So you're going to join me and Jamille as we were talking about one of the latest event shows that she was a part of. Enjoy, and I'll talk to you again after the episode. So you said this was the second show that you've done, right?
Yeah, the one I just did yesterday. Well, Saturday was the second show.
Okay. How did that fare as compared to the first one that you did?
I feel like they were around the same. I feel like the crowd it was a nice crowd. It wasn't as professional looking inside the venue. I feel like we probably should have used a different venue, and I think they are next year. But since this was the first time it was done, I think it turned out well. I mean, I made more money this time than I did the first time.
That's always good.
So I'm not definitely no complaints on that. I had a lot larger space, and that was more so because the event organizers kind of messed up, and I lucked up. Ooh.
Hello?
We get disconnected?
My internet broke out for a second. You said that you had a lot more space because the organizers messed up.
Yeah, they did. They messed up because I was only supposed to have a certain allotted space, and they were supposed to have that space already blocked off for me when I got there. But because they weren't able to get access to the venue earlier, they basically told me, hey, just go set up over there in that general area. And I took advantage of that. I took as much space as I could.
Nice. In
that general area. And because I had enough items there, and I even brought my extra table. So I had the whole section over there lit up like a whole store. I brought my own lights because I figured that people are attracted to bright things, sparkly things, something that'll stand out. So I decided to buy all these like runway curtain LED lights online, and I set them up as my backdrop. So, but naturally, folks are going to come over there because it's like, hey, this is really, really lit over there. What's going on? And that's exactly what happened. There was no downtime for me. From the time they opened those doors to let people in, it was just crowded over in my space. And I was noticing that I had a competitor across the hall. Directly across from me, that she was selling hair growth products like I was selling as well. And she only had literally almost maybe a third of the space that I had. And I could tell that there was a little bit of not gonna say a little bit of hating going on, but she wasn't getting the business that she probably was expecting to get, being that she traveled up there from Atlanta. And I was like, oh well, I don't know what to tell you, honey. I'm trying to. The way I approach this situation is think of it as a consumer. I don't have any background in marketing. I don't have any schooling in business, how to run a business, anything like this. All of this is done off of common sense and what would I do if I was in this situation.
Yeah.
If I came to this show, what am I looking for when I come to it? When I come to a venue, I'm looking for professionalism. I want to see a nice display. I want to walk up to your booth and see, oh, you put in some work into this. You really thought this out, didn't you? This is really nice. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you have here to offer, because I'm interested. That's what I'm looking for if I go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't have that skill. Like I can't. Like I would like to be able to think that way, but whenever I have to come up with something creative like that, like even if I thought, oh, what would I be looking for? Like my answer would be like, oh, I'm looking for the most boring and dull thing in the world, because that's basically what I always come up with. I know that's not what I look for, but like that's all my brain can ever come up with when I'm trying to market or anything like that. Is just, okay, let me be military and straight down the line and inside the box, and everything is...
You're to the point.
Yeah, everything is in its place, and if you ask me a question, I will give you a direct answer, and that's just not how people work. So I'm still trying to figure out, like, how do I appeal to that flashy side of marketing where people want to be, the word I'm looking for isn't engaged. Like it's almost like they want to be enticed. That's what I'm looking for. Like they want you to try to draw them in. They don't want you to say, well, I have the best product, so you should buy it. Like they want to see the lights and everything like that. I've never been good at that.
Well, the whole thing about with the line that I developed, I developed it because I was trying to figure out how to help myself, and so I took that same approach with how to market it. And I'm pretty sure there's a better way to market it than what I'm doing. And I'm learning as I go along. And, oh, sorry, my business line is calling me right now.
That's all right.
And I thought I had it turned off, but, it's going to be turned off. But, let me actually turn this phone off. I hadn't charged it in 3 days and I thought it would have been turned off by now. But good old company phone. But back to what I was saying, as far as everything that I'm doing it along the lines of something that had to do with me personally. And so when I approach this marketing thing, I'm looking at it like, I buy a lot of stuff online. And this is my conversation I'm having with myself. Like, Jamille, you buy way too much stuff online. What is it that's distinguishing why you buy this as opposed to why you didn't buy the other product? Why are you buying so much? Like, I had to have a coming to Jesus moment with myself about what makes you purchase some of the most random stuff you have no business buying. What is it about it that made you buy it? And so I started analyzing myself as to why I wanted to buy this product. What was so appealing about it that made me want to get it? Was it because of the colors that was used in the scheme? Was it, did I start looking like, did I like it because of the actors that they had in here? Was it the pictures? Was it the video? Was it how they, came across? And that's when I started to think, well, I'm noticing I like things that are bright. I like brights. I like light stuff. I like, even in the mall, things that have a nice little display to it, a lot of lights, bright, well lit type of situations, it drew me in. And I think that that's how other people will work too, is that they're drawn into bright spaces whenever whenever they're looking at a product. So I thought, Jamille, you need to light your stuff up. Make sure you put a spotlight on your items when you're in these dimly lit areas, so that people could see it from afar. Like, hey, I see lights in the distance. What's that? I want to, I'm gonna come back to your booth, but I want to see what's down at this booth now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I figured I would try out for this particular show, and I think it worked. I mean, I don't know if that's the reason why people came to my booth, but I'm hoping to find out if after this customer survey that they're going to do. So and the cool thing that I just found out about this past event I did, they apparently gave a customer survey to all the attendees, and they apparently are going to vote on the best vendor, and whoever gets the best, the highest votes gets their booth rental refunded.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we didn't know about this till after the event. Like, oh yeah, by the way, for you guys that whoever gets voted the best vendor, we're going to send you back your money. Like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's good to know.
Yeah. How long you think it'll be before you find out?
I think maybe like 2 or 3 days. I'm really hoping it's me, because in my heart of hearts, I feel like I had the best booth there.
Okay. I mean, nothing wrong with a little bit of confidence.
Oh yeah, I feel like I had the best booth.
Very nice.
In my head, I did.
And so when we were talking last week, trying to set up the date to talk, and you said that you had a show on Saturday. It's like, oh yeah, I'll be good to talk afterwards. I was like,
oh yeah,
she gonna be dead to the world. But okay.
My last show, I still had so much energy, and I think it was an adrenaline thing that it was my first show. So I was like, yeah, I don't have a problem talking. I can talk all day. Mm. But I was, my throat was hurting. I was trying to talk over top of these the speakers that was right by my booth. It was rough. Mm-hmm. And because it was so much action, I didn't get any downtime to sit down and talk, and just rest and eat. So by the time I got home, we finally got home, and it was right before it was time for me to talk with you. I'm like, dude, I am exhausted. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to sound like I was unenthusiastic. I don't want to sound unenthusiastic and everything on the phone. But yeah, when we were talking, I said, yeah, I stay up to 2 o'clock all the time. I work all day long, but I'm not all day long on my feet talking to people, in a very loud manner, trying to talk over a speaker. So I learned my lesson on that one.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, I mean, so my job, a part of my job, and actually one of my secondary jobs, I'm a trainer or a training facilitator. And so like it's being on my feet for 8 hours in front of a classroom of anywhere from, 15 to 25 people. And some of these rooms are pretty big. So I'm sitting here walking back and forth and talking continuously for 8 hours. And, I teach a 2-day course, and after 2 days straight of that, I mean, it's literally just 2 days, and I'm done. Like, I need to come home, get back in town, and like just take a whole day to sleep, because it drains you physically being on your feet doing that, but it also drains you trying to react to people, try to answer questions, trying to be engaging the whole time, and want to make sure that everybody is having a good time and engage with you. It's like it's a lot more mental and emotional anguish that goes into that than you give credit for. And I can only imagine when, instead of teaching people in front of a classroom, you're standing there and every word you say is going to lead to either more money in your pocket or not. So I know you probably were on top of all of that.
Yeah. Interesting you said the word teaching. With teachers, a lot of teachers use visual aids. And what I learned from my first show, and the reason why I think a lot of people came to my booth, is that I had a little display on the table that showed before and after pictures of 2 different clients that had bald spots or thinning areas, and that they grew back. So everyone that was coming over everyone was kind of hovering to that edge of the table, wanting to know what is this that got this results, So I took that to be, Jamille, you need to blow this whole thing up. Take it from a table display and make it a full standing display from the floor 8 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. I designed a display that took it from the table from just having 4 pictures to having 8 pictures of before and afters, where I actually showed myself on 4 of them, at the top and the bottom. So when people came over and wanted to see, what is this that you have? What is this that's going on? Okay, let me explain what's going on here. I have a solution for, this is just one of my product lines, the one that's selling the most. I was like, I have a solution for thinning bald spots. And let me tell you my story. Look, you see that top picture at the top? You see that bald spot, and you see where the hair follicles used to be. That's me. And then I will part my hair to show them the same spot on there, and then you will see this look. They will look at the picture, then they'll look at me. Then they'll look at the picture because my eyes aren't shown, but you can see from my eyebrows and when I angle my head, they then see, oh, wow, that really is you. Yes, that's me in the picture. This isn't some picture I found on the internet. This is actually me. And then it's when they actually see that, wait, the person that's telling me this, that's showing me this product, is actually like you're real. You didn't just you aren't selling this for a company. This is actually your stuff. Then that's when they're engaged. Like, tell me more. Mm-hmm. So I realized that by me being there and showing them like these are real people results. These are not stolen pictures. And that's nothing I was getting a lot of people were asking me, are these real testimonials? And I would pull out my phone because, of course I've cropped the pictures. I've cropped people's faces out of the pictures. I don't want to show them like that on my display, but I was like, just give me a minute. I pull up my Facebook or, my text messages where my clients actually showed me these pictures, and I'll show them on my phone. Hey, look, here you go right here. Or if I had my tablet, I'll pull up my Facebook, let them see it. And they're like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, tell me more. And I understand why people are skeptical because folks steal pictures all the time and doctor it up and Photoshop it around. But first you have to earn their trust is right. What I'm learning. And what I've learned from these shows is that we are all visual people. We're all drawn into something. You see that there's bald spots or these thinning areas, or, your edges are completely gone. Now, all of a sudden you see your after picture, and the next thing they want to know is how long does this take? And that's when I have to start. That's when my science background comes in, where I'm explaining to them, everyone is different. Like mine only took 6 weeks. But this person over here took 12 weeks. This person on this picture took 8 weeks. It all depends on your age, your biological makeup. What other medications are you taking? It's and I try to be as realistic with people as possible. I'm not trying to sell a miracle in a bottle. I'm just letting you know this is something that worked for me. That was a natural alternative to using a prescription. And I also try to let them know that I'm not anti-prescription because I am a pharmacologist. I know the science behind it, but because I know the science behind it, that means I know the pathways that things work. And I just try to exploit the pathways on a natural basis. And I think that's my selling point to consumers right now, is that they're seeing that I'm not selling this for another company, like I'm not a distributor, so to say. Like this is actually my real product. And I had someone ask me that where she came and asked me, how do I become a distributor? Like, how did I become a distributor for Phoenix Deep Rooted? And it made me chuckle because I'm like, wait, what? What are you asking me? Oh, wait. You think that I'm here representing Phoenix Deep Rooted for the major company? No. I am Phoenix Deep Rooted. Like, this is me. I'm not a distributor. I'm actually, I actually am the owner. I'm the formulator. I make everything upstairs in my lab in my house. So, it's an interesting. I'm learning a lot. It's an interesting journey. It's a fun journey. It's an expensive journey, but it's fun.
So with all that said, so we just jump right back into the conversation where we left off last time. But since we're recording this, nobody that's listening to us really knows what we're talking about yet. We hadn't introduced Phoenix Deep Rooted or anything like that. So
Mhm.
let's do this. We talked last time about just jumping back at the beginning of the conversation,
Sure.
with you just talking about yourself and your background and your story. And I don't want to cut any of that stuff out, because when we talked last time, I was completely fascinated by everything, and every piece of your story fed into the bigger picture of how you came to the point where you developed Phoenix Deep Rooted, products. And so let's
Okay.
table where we're at right now, because it's already out there. So everybody's got
Okay.
kind of a little taste of what's going on.
I
And
did. Uh-huh.
just go backwards and tell me everything about you.
Okay. um, I guess I can start early, the early years when I first got introduced into science and the my background with hair. I guess we can start off by saying I have a passion for hair and I have a passion for science. And that passion began back in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. I actually was born in the DMV. I was born in DC, stayed there for about 10 years, and then moved down to Richmond. And when I moved there with my mom and my dad, my mom, for some, I don't know if she was just trying to change her life around, not change around like she's bad or something, but she was just, she decided, when we move down there, I'm going to get really into the church, and she found this church that was right by the house, real convenient. There was no excuse on why you didn't have to go to church. But this church was a very, very strict church. It's an independent fundamental Baptist church. I don't know if people know what that is, but they should look it up. They'll be amazed. It's very conservative, very strict, but it's all black. And I think that's what my mom was really drawn into, conservative black church. There was no hooping and hollering, no drum sets, no nothing. It's just straight up preaching the word, and that's that. But along with that strictness came a lot of control from the church and a lot of criticisms, and like little criticisms. And by when I say that, it would be that all of a sudden I couldn't wear certain hairstyles. I couldn't look like my friends. And I had gone to the beauty salon. It's 10 years. I'm 10 years old. We always had kitchen beauticians. My mom went to the beauty salon, but she would joke and say, "You don't have hair that needs to go to the beauty salon." This was her nice way of saying that I had a quote unquote nice braided hair. And I hate it when we as black people say that. It pisses me off. We all have nice hair. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you and your listeners know what I'm saying when we say that, oh, you got a nice curl pattern. You had that. And I really want that terminology or those phrases to be expelled from our vocabulary, saying nice braided hair. I think all grades of hair are nice.
Yeah,
But
that's another one of those things that is used and that we've learned to use against each other, because it's a matter of a jealous thing. I mean, and dudes do it too. I remember growing up and I had hair that just couldn't make waves, like, at all. I had wave caps. I had the thickest grease. I had the I tried the super thick stuff and then the less thick stuff, and I couldn't make a wave happen in my head. And I go to school and
you're doing the 100 brushes a day type of thing.
Yes, oh my God, it didn't do nothing for me. I was so mad, and I'd look around at these dudes with all these look like you get seasick in their head. I was like, man, I wish I could give you some waves, and they would always let you know about it. That's just our hair. That's just another thing that we have developed to use against each other. When honestly, whatever, like you said, whatever our hair type or pattern is, as black people, it's unique, and you can do something with it that somebody else can't. So just own
it. And just to put a pin right there, whenever my clients say that to me, even at these shows, when I let them play in my hair, I let people touch it, feel the curls, feel what I'm doing, and then they'll then come back and self-doubt and be like, oh, well, yours looks like that because you got good hair. And I have to correct them real quick. No, you got good hair. We all got, like, you got hair on your hair, right? We all have good hair, and I tell the same to my clients. Man, I wish my hair could do what your hair does. Well, it might not be able to do the exact same thing that my hair can do, but understand it can do. We can make something work. We can make it shake. We can do something with your hair. So but but back to what I was saying with my mom is that I understand what she was saying. She was trying to say that I didn't need to go and get the perms like she was getting. I didn't need to go and do all this other stuff because she could simply just wash, blow dry, flat iron my hair, and we were good to go. And that was it. That I didn't have any reason to go there. So because I didn't have reason to go get my hair done, then that means I really didn't need to get all the little fancy smancy styles. And at that time, this is the 90s. So the styles at the time was the finger waves, the French rolls. This is when people just really started wearing weave, like talking about, like it was like the braided weaves, the poetic justice braids, the real poetic justice braids from the first go around. And I wanted that, but my mom would not let me wear any weave. She was very strict with that, and it was mainly because the church was along the lines of saying that was secular styles. That's what the world was wearing. And it's our jobs as Christians to be different from the world and be a light for God, and that we need to be different and show the world that we are different. So we don't need to look like everybody else. And looking like everybody else meant that I wearing weave. So by default, I wasn't allowed to wear weave. I ain't like that. So I'm just gonna be honest, because all right, cool, you got me. You saying I can't wear my hair like everybody else, but you got me in school with all the kids. All we in the hood, and all of a sudden I'm up here just walking around. I'm in middle school, and middle school was like a battleground. You can't pay me to go back to middle school, but you got me in middle school wearing two ponytails on the top and a ponytail in the back, looking like I'm 8 years old, and these girls are ruthless. I don't know if middle school girls in 1996 and 97 was mean. I know they terrible now. So that just was not going to work for me. So I pleaded with her to when I got to college to let me just to well no before I mean not before I got to college, sorry, when I was still in middle school, that I would start saving up my little money I got, and I would go to the dollar store and get rods, and I would sneak gel into the house. So I wasn't allowed to put gel on my hair either. So imagine all the picking I got, all the picking that was sent my way because I wasn't allowed to gel down my hair like everybody else. So I would sneak gel, take it to school, and then slick down my hair in the bathroom, and like the other girls would do, and she did let me practice these styles on dolls. She did give me a mannequin and let me practice my styles. And she was seeing that I was actually pretty good. And the thing about it is that I had a way I could look at a style and then actually reproduce it on my mannequin. And she saw that there was a little bit of talent there. And my school had when it was time for me to go to high school, the high school I was in had a arrangement with the technical center, and the technical center was teaching trades and all. And I asked her if I could take the cosmetology as a trade, and I was able to go to cosmetology school while I was still in high school and get licensed while in high school. And then that's when I was allowed to start doing styles. So I started doing different styles for the people in the church. No weave, but all these other little things. And then I slowly but surely was able to start adding weave here and there. Like I was sneaking it into my own hair because I was a basketball player. We always wore cornrows. And so I would slowly start sneaking weave. I was sneaking by weave just to pack up, it was like 99 cents back then. So I was get off the bus, go to the hair store, get my little pack of 99 hair, and that pack would last me, boy. I was stretching out. But I was trying to, they do feed-in braids now. That's the style then. I was doing feed-in braids back in 98 because I didn't want my mom to know that I had weave at the front of my hair. Because, when you add weave, when you add it to the braid, it has it's lifted up from the scalp. So I'm braiding my regular hair, then adding the weave in because I wanted the braids to be big and be long. Had my mom think my hair was long. It wasn't that long. But I was like slowly adding. Then I would just add beads and shells on the end. Then people would start notice, like, why your braids lasting so long? Jamille, do my hair. My nickname Scoop. So it was always like, Scoop, do my hair. So I was doing everybody's hair on the basketball team before the games. And I was doing all the boys' hair because, that was a thing back then for everybody to have cornrows. Then it got around to my mom that I was doing hair, and I just pitched it to her like, hey, such wants me to do their hair after school. Can they come over? And she let me start doing people's hair at the house. And for $10 here for a whole head of cornrows, and she was allowing it on Saturdays and Sundays, and then she let me convert she let me convert the basement to my hair area. At first I was doing hair out of our sunroom, but she said she didn't want me to have all that traffic there. So she let me paint the basement baby blue and gray in that area, and I did hair downstairs in the basement for all through high school.
That's
until
really
I went
cool.
off. Yeah. So that's where I got the whole the hair started up. But while I was still in school, I still had a passion for science. Like I think scientifically all the time. So I was always in science programs in the summer. My mom really pushed that, and she's not a scientist. My mom's she's a psychologist. So and she's a child psychologist. So she basically, looked at me and tried to, and she put me in all these different situations to see which one would I grasp at. And she, I'm talking about, I was in every sport and shot, because her thing was that she was going to make me do something. And I went from horseback riding to swimming to playing with hermit crabs on Saturdays to programming computers. And I just stuck with the whole hermit crab on Saturday thing. That's the thing I like. And so in high school, I got involved in some more programs that they have a lot of these high school to college programs that were science based at the time. And I did a lot of those that exposed me to the scientific method and how to come to real results using this method. Like, you need to know what you're trying to find, and if you want to find out a result, you need to figure out what are all these different elements you need to rule out to make sure that your result is actually founded on something else. And I was like, well, that makes sense on everything. This should be applied to everything. Why doesn't everyone use the scientific method? XYZ equals ABC. This is perfect. I like this. And that led to me going to Virginia Tech and majoring in biochemistry. And while I was there, from my first year at Virginia Tech, I found me a research mentor in plant biochemistry, and she took me under her wing and taught me the base. I mean, I'm talking about the old school basics of molecular biology. Now you have all these things in science where you can just pop it in the machine, tell the machine to do it, or use a kit real quick and it's done in 25 minutes. No, she taught me the old school methods of how to isolate DNA, how to purify protein, how to, how to extract on all these different things. Like, she told me the basics and why am I doing this? What happens? Put me in situations to see, okay, if you don't get the result, where did you go wrong in your process so that you didn't get the result that you're supposed to get? And that taught me that laid the basis for how I'm supposed to, it laid the basis for life for me, actually. If your result is that your tail is supposed to get a degree, you're supposed to get an A out this class, what did you do along those lines that allowed you not to get this? It's a scientific method. Everything, and it made so much sense to me. So when I was able, my goal in going to Virginia Tech, and I was a student athlete also, but my goal there was that I'm going to get out this place and I'm going to get out of here in 4 years. I'm not going to, this is one of the hardest degrees they have here. This at the time, it was ranked number 2 in the nation for biochemistry. And I was like, I am going to get this degree and I'm going to get it on time, no problems. And that kind of is what happened. I did have a hiccup in college. Hiccup being that my dad passed my junior year, and my mom and the rest of the family wanted me to take time off. And I'm like, okay. So my definition of taking time off was I'm not going to do anything this summer. And I didn't do anything for 2 or 3 months. And I was like, I'm going back to school. And it was like, and the family was thinking, you really should just take time off. And I'm like, oh, what? My dad would want me to go to school, so I'm gonna go to school, and that's what I did.
Yeah, what is the time off gonna do other than give you time to sit and think about hurt when you could be busy moving forward with life?
Moving and shaking. And that's exactly what I did. I'm like, well, this was fun. This was 3 months of me not doing nothing with my life. I've never, since the time I started school, I've never had any time off just to sit around, hang out, and watch TV. And that was 3 months, and I was absolutely miserable. I need to do something. I need to do something now. And I went back to school, and I graduated. I graduated on time. And in the process, I really didn't know where I was supposed to do next. I had wanted the idea that I really that me going to school was that I want to be a reconstructive plastic surgeon. This is what I really want to do. And so I figured getting a degree in biochemistry would put me on the right road, because for med school, you need to know chemistry, you need to know biology. Boom, let me get the best of both worlds. I'm in there. That didn't work out because, and I love Virginia Tech with all my heart, but I feel like I was put at a disadvantage by being at a research institution that they just push research. And I say that in the sense that all my mentors there, I had multiple academic mentors, all of them pushed me to go to graduate school. They all frowned upon me going to medical school. And this was a biased view. And I feel like they hurt me with their being biased, because they're all PhDs. And they looked at it like, the way they put it was, you have too unique of a mind to waste it on medicine. To get a PhD, you need to get a PhD, you have to use your mind and you have to make your degree. Whereas with an MD, you have a set things that you have to memorize, and that being an MD is based on how well can you memorize this material. Whereas PhD is how well can you memorize and apply the material in real life applications. Mm-hmm. And so basically, what all my advisors was making it seem like, oh, you're too smart to get an MD. You need to go get a PhD and cure cancer type of thing. Like, in the scholarship I was on, their main goal was that they want to increase the amount of Black PhDs that go back and teach. And that's what I was being pushed to. It was like, don't you want to have professors that look like you? Don't you want to do that? And I'm just like, I really don't care. That was just me. I understand now that it is important to have professors that look like you. And again, you got to understand, this is me at a predominantly white school.
Yeah, but you had a path that you already wanted to be on.
Right. So you really can't miss what you never have been exposed to. So, and I have friends that's gone to HBCUs, and they think it was the best experience for them. And I don't knock it at all. I just was going to the school that had the best program for what I wanted. I wasn't looking at it along the lines of, I want to be by my people, or I want to be with the white folks. I'm just like, who got the best name in biochemistry right now? That's on this side, on this coast. Mm-hmm. It was either going to Stanford on or going to Virginia Tech. I must keep it in Virginia at Virginia Tech, and that's what I did. And it had nothing to do with being around Blacks or whatever. I could really care less. I was like, I'm just gonna go here, and plus I like the leniency that was at the school. I have these talks with my friends now about, they talking about curfew and all this other stuff at their schools, and how they had to sign in and sign out. I'm like, no, you go to a white school like I did. There wasn't no such thing as curfews. I lived in a co-ed dorm. In every dorm I was in, it was always, my room was a girl's room, and right next door would be a guy's room. That's the way they looked at it was, we are preparing you for the real world. In the real world, when you live in an apartment, it's not going to be, oh, this is an all-girl apartment. No, you're going to be in an apartment building with multiple people multiple races. You need to learn how to function. Your parents pay for you to come here to get ready for the real world. And I liked it. It's how it was explained to me, and I liked that. But of course, me being young, I'm listening to my mentors. I'm having everybody tell me the same thing of, Jamille, you should really just try to go for the PhD. So I was like, the heck with it. I'm about to graduate. I don't got no job. I should just go ahead and apply for a PhD. And they won me they won me over with saying, if you get a PhD in the medical sciences, that you don't have to pay for school. They pay for you and they give you a stipend. Say what? They do what? So you're going to pay me to come and learn and get a PhD, and and I don't owe anything? Okay, sign me up.
Yep.
I don't care what it is, but sign me up. Yeah, when you faced with you want to have $180,000 to $200,000 in student debt, or you want to go to school for free. But what they don't tell you is that it's almost like indentured servitude, working PhD. So that's how I ended up in Nashville at Vanderbilt. And I got excellent training there, but I got hit with a hard reality of what of being a professional in this science world and having a little bit of melanin in your system. I got hit with harsh realities. Even though, and I thought I would be able to handle Vanderbilt fine, because check it, I was at a white school for 4 years, and I was at a white school for 4 years that had went through a freaking massacre, and it was the most loving environment I ever had been in, right after the massacre happened. So I'm just thinking, white schools are fine, even in the South, this should be fine. So I go down to Vanderbilt. No. I've never heard so many just racist jokes, and it had been in a situation where I had to be the spokesperson for Black America. Well, what does this mean? What does on fleek mean, Jamille? Like, really? That's what we doing today? Like I felt like I was the first version of Issa. That's really what I felt like.
Wow.
Like, that's what was really happening.
So you were volunteering in the We Got Y'all program?
No, but when I tell you and I tell anybody this now, and that's why I don't do these talks for, I don't go and do the talks in middle schools and the high schools about why you should go into STEM and why you should, I don't do them right now because I'm still bitter. And I'm bitter. And because I was pimped out for my color. I was put on, they still got my picture up in that school with me sitting there with a lab coat holding a pipette over top of Petri dishes. Like, look at the diversity at Vanderbilt. I'm over it. I was put on grants that I had nothing to do with, all because it was a minority grant, and they need to show they had a minority on this in order to get these couple $100,000 sent to the school to fund this. So I'm being in a position where I'm being forced to go to seminars and, sit on panels for the grant that I'm on. And I'm just like, I don't even know, why am I working on a lung grant? I work in the heart. I don't know what's going on. I'm just here. It's free food. Okay, so I'll just stay here. So, but that was the majority of my career at Vanderbilt, was being pimped out for my color. And it came to a head. And I have this discussion with folks all the time where I just couldn't take it anymore. And by that, I mean that one of my advisors on my scholarship, she would constantly refer to me as you people. And I would constantly correct her and stop her and tell her, she was Indian. And she would I would tell her, hey, let me stop you right there. This terminology you're using right now, you people, this isn't going to work. I understand you don't understand, but I'm going to let you know this. You can refer to me and my peers, my other melanated peers, as you all, you gals, you girls, you kids, you future PhDs of America, you kiddos, you little scientists, you can refer to as any, if you just need to say you in something, you can come up with a whole bunch of other different things, but saying you people, you can either say you all, you folks, but you people, it's not going to work. And she just would not, she just wasn't understanding why I was telling her that this was a problem. I didn't feel the need to give her a history of why it was a problem. Just listen to me when I tell you, when you're having a conversation with me and you're already criticizing what I'm doing as a student, and you swing around and hit me with the you people, you done lost me already, and I'm trying my best not to cuss you out. So after a few months of this happening and her not correcting, like, I feel like I didn't have to tell you why it was a problem, other than the fact that, hey, can you not say that? Because it kind of puts me in the mindset of I don't think you care. So do me a favor and try not to say that. So she wasn't making the effort, and I felt intimidated by that. So I felt that I needed to let her know, and that made it up the chain to the dean, and I got called to the dean's office and was told this. Jamille, she doesn't mean any harm. That's just the way, that's just the way she talks. She doesn't mean any harm to you whatsoever. I really think you need to focus your energy on getting your degree than focusing it on social change. I said, oh, I'm not trying to focus on social change. So I don't care about social change. I just kind of just don't want her to refer to, she can say you people all she wants to, just don't say it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to change who you are as a person. But when I sit up in this chair, you better call me everything else other than you people. That's all I'm saying. Or this it's gonna go a little bit different. And from that moment on, I just started butting heads left and right, until it came to a point where I'm going to get around the system. I lost my passion for science. I started realizing that this science world was more political than anything. And I was like, I'm not work. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm crying every night, running around in circles with these minstrel shows with these white folks. I'm tired of this. And I didn't have a passion to fix things anymore. I didn't want to be this badass scientist that was going to be, just taking names and numbers and run around. I didn't have the passion anymore, but I wasn't going to let it go to waste. I tell you that much. I had been there for 3 years at this point, and I had busted my ass. I had passed every class. I had already had published publications. I had already made it to where I needed to get to as far as on the road to the PhD. The problems I had was that I needed to pass my qualifying exam, and I need to have a committee that would sign off on me. That was becoming a problem. So what I did is that I decided to use this mind that the Lord gave me, and I went to the graduate school's office and applied for a master's program. And even though I was already in a PhD program, and so the thing about it is that Vanderbilt does not offer a master's in pharmacology at all. It's because it's a program. I was in the medical school. They don't offer this. It's a PhD program through the medical school. They don't offer any type of mid-level graduate courses. It's just straight PhD. That's it. So I went to the master's program, the graduate school, and said, hey, this is what I have. These are the qualifications I have. If I wanted to turn this is there a way that I can make my own program, design my own program? And I was advised that I can, quote unquote, change my degree to interdisciplinary studies in pharmacology. And I can make it a master's degree as long as I find 3 professors that sign off on it and I defend it. I found 3 professors that would sign off on it. I did my defense, and I was granted with a master's, and I got the hell out of Dodge for free. Piss them off. Because one, they don't pay for no master's degree. They don't offer a master's degree until I came around. And they don't offer it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Until I came around. So
that's called working the system.
What? But looking back on it, sometimes I wish I would have just stuck it out, because if you look at my master's thesis, it's a dissertation. It's not a thesis. And anybody that reads it knows that it's a dissertation, because it is a dissertation. But to save my sanity, I was willing to forego those 3 letters for two to get out and just have some semblance of just some sanity.
Right.
Because it was getting bad, you know, like I'm gonna be honest with you, like it was at the point at Vandy where I'm in graduate school and I'm on antidepressants. I'm, you know, it's on uppers and downers. All my colleagues, like all my other classmates, all of them are in the psychiatrist's offices too, because we are just stressed the hell out. I'm like, why am I crying all the time? Why can't I sleep? Why, you know, you feel like you're the dumbest student in the world. Like those 4 years made me feel like I was just so stupid. Like I'm not smart. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know how this happened. You know, and I had to have a realization that, hey, you are not stupid. You are not, you are very smart, and you don't need to be on serotonin inhibitors and blockers and uppers and downers to get through your day like the rest of the students in your class are. I also found out that a lot of other people in my classes were on coke and everything else to get through their day too. But I was like, no, no. This is not going to work. Oh, that's how y'all are able to get through this, because everyone's high. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not about, I gotta go. I gotta go, you know, when you on lunch break and you hanging outside and, you know, you're invited to a party saying that we're going to have lines. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And I had to figure it out. Those lines. Oh, okay. No. I'm good. Thank you. I'll study at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can understand on the long run thinking, you know, it would be much better to actually have the degree that I earned. But when the alternative is dealing with, I mean, not just the school stress, but then the racial stress. And, you know, it is a big difference in the type of racism that you get, even in Virginia. I mean, Virginia is the South, right? But I mean, that's kind of at that mid crossroads of, you know, that the East Coast mentality is kind of creeping down till you get to Maryland and DC. And then Virginia starts crossing over into being the South and being country and everything. But you get down into the middle of Tennessee, you know exactly what Southern racism looks like, because there is no crossover there. That's just, there's no reason for anybody in the South to be coy with it. It's just, this is how it is.
I wasn't used to that because, you know, my mother's family is from Memphis, and I had been going to Memphis every summer, you know, growing up. So I'm thinking Nashville was going to be like Memphis. No one sent me the memo that it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean,
no one sent me the memo that, girl, you thought Nashville was going to be like Memphis? Girl, bye.
So they didn't tell you that like the home of jazz and blues is not the same as the home of country music.
No, I didn't think. I just thought that it was that the environment. You know, my people in Memphis are just you know, everyone is just so. Well, I felt I was naive, but I felt like everybody was nice and folks talk to you, people hold the doors for you, and you know, everyone wants to have a conversation with you on the street type of thing. And that's how I thought it was going to happen in Nashville. I still can't get around. Folks do not hold doors for people out here. But that's, you know, we're getting off topic.
Yeah. But that's interesting. But that's an interesting thing to experience though. Like that whole experience that you had, that's why I didn't want to speed past it, because that's something that a lot of people don't get, right? Like I was having an argument the other day, not the other day, I think it was today, about white privilege with a group of Black conservatives, so-called, who, it's honestly, it's sad reading some of the things that they have to say, but, you know, basically claiming that it's just something that's completely made up. But there's not a lot of Black people who get the experience that you had. And that's one of the huge arguments is, well, you know, you got Black millionaires and billionaires, you got Black PhDs and MDs and blah, blah, blah. If white privilege existed, then those people wouldn't be out there. It's like, no, hold on. Nobody's saying that the door is closed. They're saying that the door is only cracked and they're only going to let a few of us through. And once we get in there, they shut the door behind us and then they treat us like crap the whole time. and do everything they can to make us quit.
The obedient ones that like like my peers who were able to look past the you people and be like, I'm just trying to get up out of here. I don't care. I'm just trying to get up out of here. I was like, no. And I'm not even super militant, like that. It was just the principle of, I think the one point that just made me pursue and press on was that the fact that I brought it to your attention and you ignored me as if, what I'm saying isn't important.
Right. I couldn't deal with that either. Mm-mm.
Like, okay, so you just gonna say that what I'm saying is just not important. Okay. And okay, fine. I'm gonna give you hell. So, but yeah, the that me coming to Nashville, and having that experience, it put me in a mindset where I was just angry. I felt like I wasted my 20s. I feel like, because I didn't get my PhD, I got my master's, and I'm not as proud of my master's as I am over my undergraduate degree. Because I felt like I worked hard for my undergrad. I mean, I worked hard for this master's too, but I didn't come to Vanderbilt for a damn master's. I came for a PhD, and I didn't get one. And so I don't really tell people that I have a master's in pharmacology, or when I do tell them, they think I'm like the smartest person on the planet. Oh, you have what? Well, why are you doing this? Or why are you doing hair? And why, and and so I hate having to explain it. I hate having to tell my story of why I'm not practicing science, how I lost my passion for science, why I haven't come up with a degree come up with a cure for cancer or something like that. That it takes me back, and I don't like to tell people. So a lot of people don't even know that I have those degrees. They know that I'm a nerd and I'm geeky, and that I'm really into science, but they don't know the extent of how deep I was into science and the publications that I'm on, and that my I'm still getting notices about my work being published on someone else's stuff. So and that's 4 years later. So it's rewarding to know that what I was doing back then is still being used now, but I know that it would be so much more flourishing if I had stayed.
Right.
But there's light at the end of the tunnel. A few years after graduating after I left Vandy, I didn't even go in my field. Well, not take it back. I did. I worked in neonatology, working, studying lung development in babies that are born premature. That was pretty cool. But after I did that, I just wanted to get out of the field completely. And I went into the investigative field, where I started working at a private investigation firm, running the office there. And it's, people are like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, what made you get into that? I'm like, one, it was my family's business and they needed help. But two, a lot of the research skills you have as a scientist can be applied to almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that use your common sense, and you want to find the answer to something. How do you go about getting that answer? And that's how it worked with me, with me doing stuff for in the private investigation field. And I'm still in that field now, but it's interesting how I got back to being this business owner. By being in this office, in this field, I'm working with a small business. So I'm seeing how a business is being ran on a small side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing the do's and the don'ts. Definitely seeing the do's and the don'ts. The pros and the cons of certain decision-making skills and where that leads. And after being there for 3 years, I have a pretty good grasp on what I ain't going to do if I'm a business owner and what I will do. But this is what made why there was a change. I got really sick in March of 2016, where no one knew what was going on with me. And I have never been sick. Like, I am the poster girl for perfect health. I never have had really no major issues growing up. All my issues were stuff that I did from playing basketball, tearing up my knee. It was nothing internally, and all of a sudden it was painful for me to sit up. It was painful for me to walk. I was walking holding my sides all the time. I ended up I was at work and my boss sent me to the hospital because she was like, you are pale, and I'm not light skinned. She's like, you are pale and you need to go see somebody. And if you don't go, if you can't drive yourself, we'll call an ambulance for you. I was like, no, I ain't paying that bill, so I'll go ahead and go. And the first time in the ER, they basically said I was dehydrated, but they couldn't find anything. They couldn't, they did all this blood work. There was no infection that they could find, and sent me on my way with, of course, painkillers, the good stuff that they figure everyone comes to the ER for in the first place, which I was not. I didn't want pain pills. I wanted to know what is wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, it never got better. I was constantly in pain. Like, it was so painful on one side of my body that and I was just always in pain and crying. And I have a high threshold for pain now. I've got a ton of tattoos and a ton of piercings. I can take some pain. But this was just unbearable. And on the third time around in the ER, they thought that I had an ectopic pregnancy. I was like, man, y'all get on out of here. So then it found out I got a doctor that decided to look beyond the scope and realized I wasn't coming in there for pain pills, that I'm really not feeling well. And he finally suggested I get an ultrasound because they were dead serious about this, thinking I had an ectopic pregnancy. When I finally was able to get in with her OB and get an ultrasound, and they didn't find, of course, I wasn't pregnant with an ectopic pregnancy. What I was, though, is that I had, they found cysts on my ovaries, on both my ovaries, were full of cysts, and determined that I have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And both of these cysts both of my ovaries had cysts that had ruptured, and that the rupturing had caused inflammation in my pelvis. And because of that, that's where all the pain was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, how can this be fixed though? And they start me on a regimen of believe it or not, a medicine that is used for diabetics. They put me on a medicine I was prescribed for medicine for diabetics, but this medicine has off-target effects of helping with ovulation. So during this 3-week stint of me being back and forth in the ER, I noticed I was getting these patches in my hair where I was getting bald spots. So not only am I in excruciating pain, now I got bald spots. I am miserable. But this is my thing. I'm making my livelihood. A lot of my income is coming from me doing hair. And I'm thinking, let's go back to what I was saying before. Everything I do, I think about what would I do if I was the other person in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
What would I do if I see that my hairstylist has bald spots? You think I'm going to keep on going to her?
Right. Yeah. and that's wild that you got to think about that, though, that your health can't just be, I got to worry about my health. You also got to worry about
my livelihood.
How's this going to affect my business? Because people aren't going to stick around to find out, oh, the reason is this. It's just going to be, I don't know.
I mean, some will. The faithful ones will, that understand. But the new ones are going to be like, girl, you see, she ain't got no hair in the front of her head. What she look like? I'm not going to let her touch my head. So hair falling out. And then when I finally got the diagnosis about PCOS and then I understood it, it was like a light bulb went off. That makes sense. So quick science lesson. PCOS, it causes for a blockage of ovary, of releasing of eggs from your ovary. When you release those eggs, it has a direct effect on your estrogen levels. If you're not releasing those eggs, you're not getting the correct amount of estrogen into your system. What does that mean? That means you get the opposite. You get a lot of testosterone and androgen in your system. A lot of testosterone leads to the development of a chemical called DHT. DHT is what you guys make in high amounts that give you your male characteristics, the deep voice, the hair on the chest, the hair on your face, and also it also contributes to male pattern baldness. So when guys start going bald, it's because of the DHT eating away at their hair follicles. So that's what was happening to me. Because my ovaries weren't releasing any eggs when monthly, what was happening is that DHT was building up and it was eating away at my hair follicles, causing my hair to fall out. And I figured, okay, enough is enough. I got to fix this. I have got to fix this. And by fixing it, I said I needed to go back to being a scientist, Jamille. You have a background in biochemistry. Figure out the pathway that DHT works. What is the enzymes that's converting testosterone over to the intermediate molecule what's the next enzyme? Okay, fine. We figure these things out. Find out what type of drugs are on the market that attack those particular enzymes. Figure out what drugs those are. Next step, figure out where those drugs were derived. Most drugs, this is the pharmacology in me. Most drugs that we have on the market is derived from a plant. The only thing we do is that we just purify it and concentrate it down, right? So I figured out that there are a lot of herbs on the market that have these different drug compounds in it. They're just not purified. So I said, well, why not just get a hold of all these random ancient Chinese herbs and different random herbs that I can find and not concentrate them down, but infuse them into different carrier oils that I know can penetrate the hair shaft and that can penetrate the scalp without irritating or blocking the pores, and see if that would help regenerate my hair follicle. And so I started testing it on myself, and lo and behold, little peach fuzz came in and it started growing. So I had a few other clients that had some thinning areas, and I made the solution up and I gave it to them for them to try, and theirs started growing back. And then I started telling my story on Facebook about how I had PCOS, and lo and behold, it's almost like half of my friends list also has PCOS. And it was like they were afraid to admit it. They had been wearing wigs or they felt like it was some type of bad thing to have and that no one else knew about it. And it almost seemed like I became like a spokesperson for PCOS, or like provided a outlet for people to talk about the struggles that they have with it. And I talked to some of my clients and told them, when I'm telling them the story on how I'm making these products, they was like, oh, I got PCOS too. Oh, I take that too. I take that same medication you take. And so I would give them samples of it and for them to try, and it would work with them too. But it's not to say that it's a drug to treat PCOS. The idea behind hair loss is that it's that same pathway. It's just that by having PCOS accelerates it a little bit more. So, because that was something that was personally happening to me in my life, I felt like I needed to attack it. Then then I started thinking about, if I was a manufacturer, what would I call this? And the only thing I kept on thinking about was I really identify with the phoenix bird. And the idea behind the phoenix is that it's a strong, powerful bird, but it eventually comes to the end of its lifespan. When it's done all it can do, it bursts into flames and it disintegrates into ashes. But those ashes then rebirth the phoenix into a stronger, more powerful bird. And I've just thought about, well, that's almost the same thing that's going on with my hair. My hair got to a point where it was like, okay, we just can't do this no more. And it just fell out. And I was left with ashes on my scalp. But I had to get those ashes together and rebirth some follicles. And I was like, that is perfect. That is perfect. name this hairline Phoenix. Then I thought about, us as people, as Black folks, that we are so deeply rooted in our traditions and who we are, that come we have come across so much BS in our history as a people, but we still remain strong. And I think about trees in a hurricane, that they're not uprooted because their roots are so deep that they withstand so much things. I mean, not all trees, but some. Like the ones that last long are those that are older, that have root systems that are just so extensive. And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? A phoenix flies high and it goes high in the sky. But theoretically, it's still deep rooted. And us as a people, we're deep rooted. And that's why I came up with the idea of, I'm going to call this company Phoenix Deep Rooted. And then I started thinking about, do I just want to make this one product, or do I want to replace everything that I'm using? And I started looking at the ingredients of products I was using. And I was starting to get mad when I looked at it, because the chemist in me is now coming out, where I'm like, these companies are full of it with these ingredients. And I realized it was a marketing scheme. I'm like, for real? So Suave over here is going to have the same, the regular Suave has the same ingredients as Suave Naturals for us Black folks, but you just going to throw in some argan oil and a little bit of synthetic coconut oil, and all of a sudden it's good for us Black people? No. But then you're going to hike the price up a little bit. And I was noticing that was across the board for everything, that the ingredients were the same between the normal stuff and the ethnic things. It's just that the price was a little bit hiked up because you throw coconut oil. Coconut oil ain't that expensive. It's really not. Argan oil is, rockin' oil is, but you're not adding that much into it, And I was like, we have been duped. Our people are getting duped. And what I noticed is that when a line comes out, it'll be super good. It'll be real good at first for the first few months, and then they start changing the formula up on it. So, like this big hoopla with Shea Moisture. Shea Moisture was the bomb.com. I don't care what anybody said. It was super bomb 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know what's happened lately. Just Cantu used to be super great. And then all of a sudden, it just turned into a watery, chalky mess. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? But then you look at the labels and you see, oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Your main ingredient is now your fourth ingredient, and your first and second ingredients are fillers. Okay, I see what's happening. And us as Black people, we become loyal to a brand. We become loyal to a company, and we keep on giving them our money over and over and over again, even though our results are becoming more and more diminished. And as a hairstylist, I'm like, I'm not going to keep on buying this crap and putting it on my customers' hair. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to figure out something that works for natural hair, that keeps it moisturized, and then I'm going to use it on myself. And if I like how I use it on myself, then I'm going to use it on my clients. And then that's where I said, well, I think I need to, I think I want to I want to make sublines within the company. So I hadn't even made the stuff available yet. This is me still brainstorming on what type of products I wanted to have. So I had the elixir that was working on people's hair. I mean, I was working on the bald spots, but I was like, okay, if I have that's mainly for the scalp, I need to make a whole bunch of things for the scalp. So I was thinking, what else do I normally do with my hair after I wash it? I oil it, right? I oil my scalp. Well, I need to make something that helps promote hair growth and open up the pores, and is a replacement for me oiling my scalp. So I made an ointment, and I made a penetrating oil. And I said, well, those are going to be the basis of my scalp line. But now I need something that's going to help with actually coating the hair, and something that can help with me wearing natural hairstyles. I like wearing my hair natural every now and then. So I don't want to have a whole graveyard of all these random hair products underneath my sink. I just want several things. I know I need to have something that's for moisture, something that's going to put the moisture in the hair, something that's going to lock it in, and something that's going to style it. 3 products. And so I worked long and hard on researching different herbs that I could, different type of roots that I could isolate that could give some slick to the hair, so something that can replace a silicone. And I figured that out, and I made that. I added those herbal extracts to a solution, put it in a spray bottle, started using it on my clients. Oh, girl, what's that? I like that. What is that? Oh, and I joked. I was like, oh, this is my little hair potion. This is my little magic potion I got in the bottle. And that went on to become my curl definition potion. And then I made 2 other solutions that I wanted something that was a little bit heavier that would coat the shaft really good, not just sit on top of it, but coat it and actually penetrate it. And I made a cream, and I made a custard gel. And it took a lot of trial and tribulation, going back and forth and testing on myself, but it turned out to work. And I decided that, well, I don't want to put it all in one category. If I was thinking about how I was going to make the website, I don't want to just have plaster, now I'm up to 6 products. I don't want to just plaster these 6 products. I want to have it where if someone comes in and looks for something for the scalp, then they can just go to this section. They want something for the hair, they can just go to this section. So then I thought about, well, I need to have sublines then. But the sublines, they need to have a name. Like, what am I going to name them? Am I going to name it Phoenix Deep Rooted Scalp, Phoenix Deep Rooted Hair, Phoenix Deep Rooted, beard? No. So I thought of what elements make up a phoenix. And I started writing down. I started looking at different texts of phoenix, looking at all these different pictures of phoenixes, and I started writing down words that come to me when I looked at one. Definitely I came up with ashes, because ash was what it comes to. I came up with flame, and I was thinking flame and fire because of, Phoenix bursting the flames. Then I came up with sun and solar because of most Phoenix's depiction close to the sun. Mm-hmm. And then I was trying to look at different things. Like, I was looking at different colors of the Phoenix, and I was like, I want to do Phoenix red, Phoenix blue. And then I started noticing older pictures of Phoenixes had blue eyes. And I did some research on ancient, like how Phoenixes were described back in Greece, that one of the advisors to King James actually described the Phoenix as having sapphire eyes. And I was like, oh, sapphire eyes. And then simultaneously, it was funny because one of my friends was like, all right, Scoop, you making all this stuff for hair. What you got for the guys? And I'm like, what you mean what I got for the guys? Which I won't. I'm like, well, what do you want? What do you need? And he was like, you got anything for our beards? And for some reason, I thought, you know what? When I first notice him and I look at him, the first thing I see is his eyes. I'm really looking at his eyes. I'm looking to see if he's a shifty old guy. He looks shady. You can use to tell those things if you look at their eyes, mm-hmm. What they up to. And I said, you know what? A Phoenix has blue eyes. Blue is usually depicted for guys. I'm going to call what I hadn't made a single beard product, didn't know what I was going to make, but I just said, I'm going to call this line Sapphire.
Before you'd even put anything in the bottle.
No, didn't have a clue what I was going to do, but I said, you know what, I'm going to figure out something for you, and I'm going to call it Sapphire. And then I went along like, okay, let's put a pin in that Sapphire. I'll figure it out later. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, and I start talking in these little groups, my little hair groups, and people are getting excited. Like, yes, Scoop, come on, when it's going to be available? Are you going to have this? You got any lotion? I'm like, where do y'all come? I said I made something for the scalp. Where are y'all getting that lotion from? Or body butter? But okay. And see, I don't know how to say no to people. So I'm over here trying to figure out what's the best thing to use for skin. And I thought about it. Man, I have eczema. I have really bad eczema at times. And a lot of times what I buy on the market doesn't really do anything for me. And I thought, I want to make something that works on the skin, that isn't too harsh, that smells good, and has some type of relaxing, energizing properties to it. Mm-hmm. So I made me a body butter. I didn't I didn't let people know about it. I just randomly gave it to folks. I randomly gave it to my clients, gave it to my mom, and I messed up giving it to my mom because you know how moms do. They tell all the people in their church. So I hadn't even launched a line at this point. My mom is telling everybody in her church that, well, Jamille, she got this Phoenix stuff, this Phoenix butter. You need to get this butter from Jamille. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even remember how I made the butter, but okay. So now I'm being pressured. I gotta figure this out quick. And then, but then I looked at my list. Remember I said I had fire and sun and sapphire and now I'm like, well, I said, what else? I need to figure something else out. And then the ash. And then I finally said, okay, well, I don't know how I'm going to put this body stuff in there. And then I thought about how a phoenix is depicted so many different ways. Sometimes it's red, yellow, and blue. Sometimes it's blue, purple, orange, and green. It's all the time, always has some type of different color. And I had to think, what else has a bunch of different colors in it that could be a good depiction? And I started thinking, well, sapphire is a stone. What other stone could I come up with? And I thought of opal. If you look at an opal stone, when it hits the sun a different way, it always has a different color. It always has some other different type of color scheme. You never can pinpoint what color is going to look like at what angle. Sometimes it can look pink and green. Sometimes it can look, red and bluish. And so I figured, well, that's a good explanation for how a phoenix looks. And if I'm doing a body line, we all have different body types, right? So this makes sense to me in my head, right? This is literally my conversations I'm having with myself. I'm an only child, so I do this a lot. So I said, okay, cool. So we're going to name the body line and the cleansing line. We're going to name that opal. And I got the guys line is going to be sapphire. I don't have a single product, but it's going to be called sapphire. And then I said, well, what am I going to do with this solar? I like the name sun, but I didn't want to call it sun. So I changed it to solar. I was like, that's kind of cool. But what am I going to put in there? And I thought, oh, so the phoenix gets its power from the sun. Like folks that have locks are often depicted, or often have some type of correlation towards the sun, looking upward. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna make a lock line and call it solar. And I decided that the flame needed to go towards the actual hair strands, and ash should go towards the scalp because of that whole regeneration process.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I decided to call the flame line for the kinky curly is that flames always go up. They always go upward. They never go down. The only time they go to the side is if there's wind involved. And I thought about how our hair grows. Our hair, us as Black people, with our froze, they always point up. Our froze defy gravity. They never are always hanging down. It's always going up in a flame-like manner. And I was like, boom, there it is. I got my 5 lines. Flame, sapphire, ash, opal, solar. And I started writing out formulas for different products I wanted to do. And then I started testing out my formulas on my clients.
I want to hit on that one real quick because listening to this conversation, people could get the idea that you just kind of did a little bit of work, put a few things together, and then boom, tested it. It works, so I'm going to throw it in a bottle. But I know that is not how it went down because we already talked about this before. So talk about your process, because to me, that's your competitive advantage, right? You have this scientific mind. You have a scientific process that you approach everything at. And so the way that you approach creating these natural products from natural plant-based, oils and things like that for our Black hair also took that scientific approach. It wasn't just, oh, let me take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, let me throw it in here. Oh, it works, I'm gonna sell it. So talk about your process. How did it actually come to be that you came and built these 5 or 6 now it's six lines that you got?
Well, no, it's still 5 lines.
Oh,
it's
okay.
5 lines. So for each line, I was thinking I had to think about the structure of the hair. in that what is hair, how is it, what's the different properties that make different hair patterns and things of that nature. And what I was thinking, or my process behind, like let's talk about flame. Um, I was going for a kinky curly type of hair, and so I know I needed to approach it along the lines of you can't add too many, you can't add any silicons or things of that nature to it, but you need to have something that's heavy enough that will hold into the keratin structure. So that our hair is keratin, that's a protein, and the way the keratin folds in this protein structure determines your curl pattern, or the type of hydrogen disulfide bonds between those proteins determines your hair pattern. So I knew I couldn't put any type of, even there are natural products that can actually break those bonds. So I had to make sure that I'm working in the correct pH range, that I won't, that I will not break those bonds. But I also had to be I had to figure out how to have the ingredients I wanted to use that I knew would give the properties that would aid this type of hair. But I also had to think I wanted a shelf life. And in order to get a shelf life, I have to have some type of preservative in there. And we had the idea that, oh, preservatives are bad. Well, certain preservatives are bad because there are certain type of preservatives out there that can emulate estrogen and put you in a wacky situation like I was in. So I had to research what are natural type of preservatives that I could use that would keep away fungus, keep away bacteria, keep away mold, keep away yeast. And to do so, it had to be, I had these compounds I was finding that were natural compounds. They only worked in certain pH ranges. So I had to figure out what type of combination of all these antifungals, anti-molds, anti-yeast, and so all these different ones that had these different properties, and what was the correct pH I had to put it at, and how to get all of it to be stable. And that's where the chemistry came in. So I try to let people know that these are natural products that come from a scientific basis, that I'm just not in the kitchen, like, ooh, coconut oil. Oh, look, palm kernel oil. Let's pull this together and look how it looks. No, I actually have I made I put it in a program. Well, not a program. It's just a calculation I made for myself for what the percentage of each thing I want, each component for a solution I want to put in there. I test it out, and I don't always know what the best one is, so I will have to test it in small batches. So if, say, I had to figure out how to mix oil and water, and so that it doesn't separate too bad, but you need to be able to do that in a natural sense. So how much of this compound do you need, and how much of this one do you need, so you can put it where it still is in a creamy, smooth texture, not too gritty, not too hard, not too watery. And that's what I was going back and forth with my formulas until I got it to the correct formulation I needed it. And then after that, I would then test it and leave it. I would come up with a compound, and I would, for one batch, I'll just let it sit, because I want to see how long it's going to take for this one to develop mold. How long is it going to take for it to develop bacterial colonies, yeast, anything like that. That way I know what the shelf life is of it. If I go a whole and I was doing this, I started all up like a month after I was diagnosed. So I'm reaching the 6 months, 8 months, and I don't have any type of colony growth or anything on these products. I'm doing testing I'm ordering agar plates and doing swabs and actually incubating it in order to see if it grows, any type of colonies, and I'm not getting anything. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think this is safe, so we can start using it and showing people what I have. And that was that was along the lines of the kinky curly products. But then when it came to beards normally have your hair on your face has a different porosity, and it's a little bit thicker than the hair on your head. And so to do that, when approaching the beard, I had to change up my formulas a little bit differently so that it can be something that would strongly penetrate a beard shaft. And my formulas for coming up with a beard would be too heavy for the top of your head, or the top of if you're having very, very long hair. That's why I say the beard line is for short and bearded hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I had fun making the beard line because I was able to play around with so many different natural oils and essential oils to come up with all these different scents. And when I was started letting my female customers smell some of these beard balms, they are like, girl, you gonna have some people pregnant out here. You got these men smelling like that. I'm like, well, I'm putting a disclaimer on my product saying it's not, I'm not to be held responsible for anybody being pregnant. It's not my fault. But but that was the fun thing with coming up with that line is okay, I have a different end goal here. I have a different conclusion I'm trying to come to. What are the mid steps I have to go through to get there? Can I use this? Is this butter too heavy? Is this butter too, you know, do we need to decrease the amount that we're using of this component? What oils penetrate beard, but don't penetrate your hair? What is needed that will also nourish the skin underneath the beard? For those that are having that have razor bumps or have dandruff. I didn't even know that guys had dandruff on their face or beards. I had to, I started talking to a few guys and like, and was asking, what are your problems that you experience with a beard? And I was getting dry skin. So then I started combining, okay, I'd already came up with the stuff for the body butter. Let me see what components from my body butter can I combine into my beard balm in order to nourish that underlying skin for guys. And I tested it out and it works. And, I would start giving it out to these little scraggly beard guys I was seeing like, hey, use this, get back to me. And I would get nothing but great reviews on it. So, and then when it came to the locks, I was, again, this is me just talking with clients and saying, what are your do's and your don'ts? What are your yays and your nays? What is that is an absolute, a deal breaker for you when it comes to locks? So, folks with locks are very, very, very particular about what they put in their hair. A lot of people are, it's a very special thing, long process. So a lot of people have deal breakers, and I was coming to find out a lot of deal breakers with shea butter. So no shea butter. Mm-hmm. And I was finding that some people are allergic to coconut oil. And so I removed those two components from my my formulation. And so I had to come up with something that still had the same properties of shea that would, but not as thick and not as waxy as it, and no beeswax, So I was like, well, I wanted to have a property that held the hair together, but also was moisturizing, but not having in those cheap type of ingredients. Not necessarily, I don't want to call it cheap, but I mean beeswax is cheap. But not having those type of components that also would just sit on top of the hair and not penetrate the hair. That's how you end up getting weak spots with locks, is that you put all this stuff on top of it, but the hair on the inside is still dry and brittle. It's like you just poured wax on top of a Sahara desert. That's not going to do nothing but just have wax on top of it. You got to, if it rained first, and then that would make sense. But that was my goal in trying to find a good combination of ingredients, and it took a while. Like, I had one formula on the market, and at first I liked it, and I was like, I hate this, and I took it off. I completely just removed it off the website, and that's just me being overcritical. But I was getting messages like, where's the lock butter? I'm like, it's not available because I don't like it anymore, and I'll put it back out there when I like it. And that's what I did. It took about 4 or 5 months for me to tweak this formula around. And what I wanted to do is that, I know as a stylist, I get upset when when a product over a while doesn't hold its consistency or changes the consistency. So I wanted to make sure that the lock it up butter I was making would still hold on to its properties over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with one, and I like the way it is. I mean, the ingredients are exotic as heck, and it's hard to get a hold of, but I've gotten good reviews on it. And I like it, and hopefully it'll take off in this lock world. I'm still getting hounded for coming up with shampoo and conditioner, and I have one, but I'm still tweaking it because it works for me and it's fine for me, but I want it to be somewhat universal, and I don't want it to be too strong. And by too strong, like I let my mom use it, and she was just like, "Oh, girl, it's opening my pores too much. Like it opens up everything." And so I don't want it to. I might need to tone it down. So I'm like, I love that feeling of my pores being open and it feeling like a cool breeze on my scalp.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want it to be a thing where it's too much and that you feel your pores opening all on your face too. You just need to feel it on your scalp. So I'm going to tweak it around. I know I have a bunch of customers that they are on my behind about releasing it, but I'm a perfectionist, and as a scientist, I don't want to put anything out there that I don't have any type of good empirical data on it first. So I've got plenty of products in the pipeline, but I just haven't released it because I want to have my empirical data correct.
Right. Which is, I mean, I think that's incredible, and I keep going back to this competitive advantage thing because I know that there are plenty of other products out there where somebody just kind of stumbled upon a formula that worked for them, and so they bottled it up and they start selling it. And it seems to me, it's not even it seems, I mean, it's obvious that your method of doing things, like this wasn't something where you just happened upon it. It was a necessity for your life. But even in finding a necessity for you, it wasn't like let me try something, throw it on my head. You went through the whole process of creating something that was going to have value and testing to make sure that it worked before you put it in front of anybody else. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity for you to kind of explain that. It's like, hey, these products are going through as rigorous a testing process as any other hair product that's coming out there on the market. Yes, it is Jamille's product. Yes, it's a Black-owned company, but this is not something that's just kind of getting made in somebody's garage and thrown out there inside of a bottle. This is something that is coming from our community, from a person who has known how Black hair works for a whole life and has known how to work through the hypothesis and testing and recording and reporting process of science, and has taken those two things together and created a product that, all said, I would love to, I'd love to try your products. The only problem that I have is that, I bought into the whole, you're going to lose your hair thing. So I just shaved mine off.
Shave it off.
Yeah. And I'm in the military, so I don't, my beard gets about, 3 weeks long before I have to go and cut it off. So I can't test them, but I'm kind of like you said earlier, you're really geeky and nerdy. I'm the exact same way. I've always been that way. I want to know how stuff works. Don't come and tell me this works, because the next question I'm going to ask you is how. How did you come to that conclusion? And if you can't explain it to me in a way that I can look and say, okay, yep, you checked all of these boxes. And if I can't ask you questions that you can turn around and answer for me, then I'm not going to trust it. I'm not going to trust you. And so that really stuck out to me when we first talked on the phone, and you told me about your background, and then you told me the process that you went through for developing these. I was like, this needs to be at the top of the market. This needs to be something that everybody knows about, Phoenix Deep Rooted, and the process that is used to create it, because you're building a product for our community that we need, that isn't just a couple of squirts of whatever that oil is you talked about. Argan oil? Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, like
Yes.
just argan oil and rocking oil, or
Yeah,
no,
it's
I
not
mean,
just a couple squirts of
those
that
good
and a
oils.
normal old, bunch of chemicals. This is actually formulated from natural stuff for us by scientists in the community. Check it out.
Yep. Well, you can. I know you don't have your beard, but I can send you some body butter. That way you can stay good and moisturized. You still stay moisturized underneath your uniform.
That would actually, that would help. My wife would appreciate that quite a bit because I'm one of those dudes that I just gave up. It's like, oh, you said I do? Okay, I'm good then.
Oh, no.
I'll check out this ashiness on my elbow here in a couple of weeks. I'm not that bad, but yeah. So I would totally love to check out the products because where I don't nerd out on that stuff, my wife definitely does. And she's been on her natural journey now for, man, maybe 5 or 6 years. And she's gone from, super short to growing it all out to braiding it up to now she's considering getting locks. So she's been all over the map on what it is that you're talking about. And she spends about 90% of her time watching YouTube videos on it's like Curly Nikki is one of the ones that she watches, and there's a bunch of other ones out there. So I know that she'll be in love with the products that you have. I just wish I could test them out too and kind of give it my seal of approval. So I'll check out the body butter.
Yeah, I think my next step, like I was saying, I told you earlier, is that because I'm so new in this game and that I don't have any, background other than using my common sense in here, is that I'm taking things very slowly. I don't have any outside funding. My hairstyle, me being a stylist, I use that money to fund everything with Phoenix Deep Rooted. And in doing so, I'm very cautious in what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with and who I'm allowing to come around or near my products or see or who I talk to about it. And I'm getting approached by a lot of different places about investing in this, that, and the third, and I just haven't jumped out at it. Now, what I did get this last approach I was introduced to, I'm debating about it. One of my customers, her husband, got into using some of her products she had. She bought it for herself. But you know how you guys do. Y'all don't ever buy anything for yourself. You use your wife's stuff.
That would be true. Yes.
Which, she was calling me and saying, I got to get some more stuff because my husband been all in my side of the cabinet using your elixir. And you can hear him in the background saying, well, it grew my hair, so I don't care. And so he said, get 2 bottles. But he apparently he has a connection with HSN and was saying how he wanted to talk to me about possibly getting my product on HSN. And I'm just like, that is big time. I need to figure out what's going on, baby. I'm only 9 months old right now. And that's where I really have to have a coming to Jesus moment and thinking, are you ready to go this big? It's if someone has faith that you can make it on this level, do you go ahead and jump with it, or do you just say, no, let's try again next year when after I've had a full year in the game? And that's where I struggle with trying to, analyze it or just follow my gut. If my gut says go with it, then just go with it. Or do I share this information with other people and see what they say? Or
well, let me ask you this question. What is going to be different a year from now?
I think what would be different a year from now is that I would want to have had the product in different stores, not necessarily major stores, but hopefully in salons where I can making a connection with different stylists for them to carry the line and maybe even develop a stylist exclusive line. I'm already private labeling some things for salons, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm not sharing my formula, but I'll go ahead and private label it and just put on it that is made by Phoenix Deep Rooted. And I'm okay with that because it's a consignment type of thing where we have agreements drawn up that this is what you're going to pay me for this, and you can do whatever sale you want to do on it, but this is what percentage I'm getting from it, or this is how much I need to get from you carrying my product. And I kind of like that idea right now. But in a year, that's a very good question. I will.
Go ahead.
I have a separate lab. I'm doing everything out my home right now, and I would love to have my own laboratory. And I don't know if it will be within a year, but I will probably start to look at outside funding sources, because to be honest with you, I really would love to have Phoenix to a point where I'm offering jobs for other people, where can be a thing where it's a not a big time manufacturing type of facility, but just side note, I have to deal with a lot of wholesalers for some of my oils and just some of my base ingredients. And this is giving me the idea of, why not I just become a wholesaler for these things? Why not me open a factory where where I can make cold press olive oil and cold press coconut and kernel oil and things of that nature, where I can be a manufacturer for other people and a supplier for Phoenix Deep Rooted, and it also be a facility where I can make my product.
Now hold that thought. I'm going to ask you the next question.
Okay.
Which situation do you believe would make it more likely for you to make that a reality? The situation where you continue to only market your product online and on social media, or the situation where you have marketed your product on Home Shopping Network and you got so many orders that you had to shut down sales because it was so popular and you didn't have the ability to scale at that point. And so now you go to investors and you say, we were featured on Home Shopping Network. It sold out so quickly that I had to pause production, and I'm coming to you seeking X amount of dollars for this amount of a percentage inside of my company in order for us to scale up and become a manufacturer, wholesaler, distributor of these products so that we can meet the market need. Which one of those situations puts you where you say it is that you want to go?
Well, I would say that the second situation would definitely be there.
So
I guess my apprehension that I'm so young, I'm so new in it. You know what I'm saying?
But again, that's the whole point of my question is, what changes in a year other than that you just spent another year?
Right, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say the only difference would be that it will be maturity in running a company and understanding how to run a company, the do's and the don'ts, and that would be the main difference if I don't take that opportunity. Would be that I feel like I've learned a lot in the past 9 months, and that I've grown, and that I'm comfortable where I'm at. But if it gets to the point where it really takes off, it would put me in a situation where, okay, this is the only job I can work right now, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
Right. But you know what you just described right there.
Okay.
You just described the thing that is holding you back is a literal fear of success. You're asking yourself the question, what happens if this takes off and I have to put all of my focus on nurturing this baby that I love, that is going to feed the world what it needs? And the apprehension that you have right there is you feel like you wouldn't be ready to manage that success in a way where you're going to grow safely. It's what I think I'm hearing. Is that accurate?
Prepared, it's more of I as a scientist, I always want to be prepared, and have, before you start an experiment, you need to have all your materials in place before you start it. You need to have all your equipment in place before you start it. So I guess is the way I'm approaching where it sounds like apprehensive is more of am I prepared for it at this stage?
Right.
And do I know what to expect? Because just think about how I described how I approach the marketing, how I approach making these materials. I think, what is the next step? I'm always trying to think one step ahead instead of thinking where it is right now. What's the next step? So if I can think 3 steps ahead, that way I can plan for it, then I can run with it. But if I haven't planned for it, then I guess it's a fear of failure than it is a fear of success.
A fear that if you don't plan for it and then you go into it, I guess from your perspective, I would say half cocked, and then it falls flat. You're afraid that if you're not prepared enough, it's going to fall flat.
Well, I'm more so afraid of not knowing the business and someone stealing someone coming off and stealing, my formulas or the basis behind it because of a loophole in the system, or because I only did a trade secret patent on one aspect, but because this one other thing was changed and that, someone can take that. It's me being cautious, super cautious, and not wanting folks to, not be in a situation where someone steals it, or be in a situation where someone is literally owning me because I've gone to them for money, or owning my company.
Yeah. So
it's like I wanted to have the research and make sure I know what I'm doing before I jump at it half cocked and end up looking crazy in the end.
And that part makes sense. I would say that, so there's a component of this that you have to not take the scientific approach to, and that is that you can't control what's happening in the market. And so when an opportunity presents itself that, a completely different entity that you have no control over is like, hey, I want you to come in here so that, you can make me money and you're going to make money for yourself at the same time. The stance of, well, I don't know if I'm ready to take that opportunity. If you hold off, that opportunity may not be there again when you say that you're ready for it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
And so there's that component when it comes to the dealing with a market, is that if you've got the right product for the right market at the right time, and the market is saying, bring me this product, you might say, well, hold on, I got to perfect it, and I got to know exactly what I'm doing before I come bring it to you. And by the time you feel like you're there, the market has moved on to something different, and you missed that opportunity. Now, I understand the concern about potentially losing something, but on the flip side of that, if you have that concern, or if that stops you from taking action, then you've already lost it, if that makes sense. Like that.
Oh, no, it makes sense.
The concern of somebody stealing your product. I mean, if you've got your business set up and you've got, it's incorporated, or you have an LLC, if you have filed for, patents for your processes and everything like that. I mean, even patented work, you still got to have the money in your back pocket to actually fight it if somebody did steal your product. Any protection like that is only as valuable as deep as your pockets are to go and fight it if somebody tried to steal it. And until you've got deep pockets, that protection is just something that you keep under your pillow that makes you sleep well at night. In all honesty, the thing that matters is that when opportunities present themselves in the market for your product, especially a product like yours with a business model the way that you built it, that you don't hinder yourself by saying, well, let me wait till I'm ready. I'm only one person giving you advice, but I would advise you that if that opportunity is there, that you at least look into it and say, what all does this entail for me to present my products on this company? And then seek actual trusted advice from somebody on how how to go about the business side, the next processes in preparing your business to go to such a I guess such exposure. Because I agree with you. Doing it alone when you don't have any experience on the background in business, that is a big thing. But if you have somebody that you trust, who's there with you, who works for you as an agent, then you can put yourself in a great position to be successful right now, rather than saying, well, I'll be ready in a year. I'll be ready in 2 years.
I agree. Well, thank you. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking right now. I'm thinking about all the different angles, and honestly, the only thing, based on what you were saying, the only thing that would be a concern is if you went to try to get investment dollars for the business and you undervalued your company, or they undervalued it and they wanted too much of a percentage for their investment. But if you go get investors, they're going to take a percentage. I mean, that's the whole point of investment. It's way better than borrowing money, because you're also getting, that investor's expertise in the market and everything like that. You don't want to just go to get somebody who's got money, but you want to try to find somebody who's got money and understands that industry, because that way they have a vested interest in your success, and they have connections and an understanding that you didn't have. But I think less of a matter of in a year I'll know more. It's more of a matter of, okay, I may be at a point where I need to scale up and I will be looking for investors. Let me start making out my list of what are all the attributes that the perfect investor for my company would have. And then you can go down your whole scientific list. And now you're right back into the nerd part of it.
Right.
So, that's just, that's my 2 cents on that.
Appreciate you. I appreciate the 2 cents. That's good stuff.
Right. It's like you can't ever say, well, a year from now I'll be ready to be a father or mother, or a year from now I'll be ready to own a puppy. Like, no, you just, when it happens, it happens. And that's just what happens. Like, okay, we are off subject now, but I have to talk about my dogs because they've been brought up. My wife bugged the crap out of me to get a dog forever, and I didn't want one because I knew that if I met it, that I would fall in love with it, and then, she would get me. And so I kept putting it off, and then she emailed me, and she tricked me, and she emailed me something. It didn't even say nothing about puppy in the subject line. And so I opened up this email, and it was a picture of like this super cute dog, and like the next week I had a dog. And it's just like, all right,
that's good stuff.
Well, I guess we're doing this now, right? But that's the same thing. Like somebody says, oh, I need more of your product because my husband is using all of my products, and the husband's in the background like, yo, you really need to get on HSN. Your reaction should be, well, I guess I'm going on HSN now. I guess that's happening, right? Don't turn that opportunity down.
And but what I did is that after that conversation, I sent her an invite to the show, and she came out to the show.
Okay.
And came by the booth and bought some things, and I brought it up to her. I was like, about this HSN thing, we're gonna have a meeting about it. She's like, oh yeah, we're set up a meeting for later on next month, and I'm gonna email you. I said, okay.
Perfect. Right. That's awesome, because that gives you plenty of time to research. What do I need to know going into this meeting?
Yep.
Love it. So let me ask, I want to ask one, actually I have 2 more questions, but one question that I want to ask you, we talked about your process for developing the product line, and we've talked about how this is a new thing being in the business world for you. What is the number one challenge that you faced or mistake that you made in developing this business, and how have you been able to overcome it?
I would say the biggest challenge that I made was overestimating that I might not have needed an ingredient, and that I was thinking that I didn't need a certain type of ingredient in a product, and I didn't research it enough. It's just that I was just going off of what made sense in my head. And the minute I didn't actually research it like I did everything else, then it ended up messing up the product and costing me a lot of money in base product. And I realized, had I just done some more research, read up a little bit more on the structure of these compounds, and I would have figured out, hey, you need this in order for this to work. If you don't have this in there, it's not going to work, Jamille. Now you've lost, a good chunk of money that you had to throw away and start over. So, what I learned is that approach it from every single angle. Don't think that I realize that just because I think I might know this in my head, that it made sense in my head, that I need to double check and research any type of scientific peer review paper out there to verify that it makes sense in my head before I go spending off money throwing product away and figure out that, hey, nope, this didn't work. It made sense scientifically at the time, but you didn't think about this variable, you didn't think about that variable. And it cost me money, it cost me batches. So even for something so minor, I need to still go back and check it. Nothing's too minor.
So with that, let us come to the wrap up. There's two more things. I need to know where people can reach out to you and get these products, because once again, I am enamored with your process and the product lines that you came out with, and how you've just this whole thing speaks to the nerd in me of this is how natural hair products should be done. So where are you marketing your stuff? Where can people find them, and how can people contact you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Awesome. So if you would like to buy any of the products, you can go to www.phoenixdeeprooted, and Phoenix is spelled PHOENIX, deep, DEEP, rooted, ROOTED.com. The same applies for Instagram and Facebook. So you can just @ Phoenix Deep Rooted on both Instagram and Facebook. I have a pretty fast response time on for both of those platforms. Or you can shoot me an email at info@phoenixdeeprooted.com.
That's
I'm
awesome.
pretty quick responding on all of them.
That is great. All right. So again, what I got here, because I'm writing everything down. So I got www.phoenixdeeprooted.com, and then your social medias are @phoenixdeeprooted, and then your email is info@phoenixdeeprooted.com.
Yes, sir.
Awesomeness. All right. So that brings me to my final question. The last question I always ask when I'm doing one of these interviews for Buy Black Podcast. In order for us to be able to buy Black-owned products like yours, we need to have other Black-owned businesses out there in the community succeeding and creating awesomeness and putting it out into the world the way that you are. So with that in mind, what would you say is your number one piece of advice for the Buy Black community as a whole? And that can be as consumers of Black-owned products, that can be as entrepreneurs out trying to create businesses. What is your number one piece of advice?
My number one piece of advice is mainly directed at suppliers like myself, is that think of the golden rule: do unto others as you have them do unto you. In order for you to get support, you have to give support. And I believe in that support, you have to buy other Black owned business products, but not only buy it, but actually show that you're buying it. Don't look for trying to get a paid advertisement. Just, do doing a social media post can go further than what you think. Use your platform to encourage your followers to also do the same. And then that's how I think that we'll be able to grow it amongst our community, is that you show the same love the love is shown towards you.
I love it.
Well, my other thing that the criticism I always hear from people, and the one thing that just shocks me when I hear it from people that buy from me is they thank me so much for the good customer service, and that they're so used to not getting good customer on companies. And I'm like, that's not the case. I think that expecting too much or expecting handouts when we. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So hold on one second. I gotta run upstairs real quick because I have a feeling that my wife is like streaming TV upstairs because my phone calls have never been this problematic. Hold on one quick second for me. Okay. So I'm sorry. One last time, the second point that you made about customer service.
There's two different things. One to the consumer and one to the owner. To the owner, when it comes to customer service, think of yourself as a customer, and that how you will want to be treated, and that when you go into a business or you are dealing with a business, how you like to be treated as a customer. Think about that when you're dealing with your customers, even the ones that might be a little bit unruly and agitated. See just where they're coming from, and just know what your limit is. And to the customer, I would say that just that yes, you're supporting a Black-owned business, but that doesn't equate to automatic hookup. In that, in order for us to be successful, we're not going to be successful constantly giving hookups, and that there will looking out for customers every now and then to the loyal, to those that are loyal. But when you go into automatically expecting a hookup, then it's kind of insulting to the business owner themselves. So I would say, if you're going to support us genuinely, not support us along the lines of, I'm doing this because you Black, so you need to give me a hookup.
So that is it, guys. I hope you were as excited and inspired by Jamille's story and her process for creating her products as I was. The thing that gets me most excited about this one is that I never would have got to meet Jamille if Mike had not introduced us. And with that, that's the one thing that I want to impress upon you guys after this episode tonight, is there are so many great Black entrepreneurs at all different levels of the game, at all different points in their journey out here in the United States and across the world. And I want you guys to help me connect with them as well. I want to get as many Black-owned businesses onto this platform in front of this audience as I possibly can, because the more exposure that we get, the more likely it is that we're able to get found by those people who can help us blow up and be huge. And that's all I'm here to do, is to help our Black-owned businesses get more exposure to the market. So that said, my email is gbjones@buyblackpodcast.com. That's gjones@buyblackpodcast.com. You can hit me on any one of the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, just by searching @buyblackpodcast. Reach out to me on any one of those platforms if you have a Black-owned business, if you know someone who needs to have more exposure or would like to have more exposure for their Black-owned business, and let's get in touch with each other. Let's get you on this platform, because I know that there are so many more stories out there just as compelling as Jamille's, and they all deserve to be told. So with that said, I really appreciate you joining me tonight, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you for being part of the Buy Black podcast community. If you're enjoying the show, I'd appreciate reading your 5-star review in iTunes. Join us next time for another empowering episode.